Alright guys, so welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to make you understand JavaScript very fast as a beginner. So stay with me to the end of the video, right? So if you build a website and you make it very beautiful, you want to make it actually very interactive. For an example, there is this website here called My Promosphere here. You can see I can turn on to dark mode, to white mode, turn on the dark. The reason why this is possible is because of what we added JavaScript to it. That's the reason why this is very possible. You can see I can switch from home, I can switch to learning. You can see it gives me this. I can switch from learning, I can switch to what? To talk. Right? So as you can see this right here. You can see everything that is actually happening here is because of what? JavaScript, right? So in this video, we're going to be building this simple, nice thing here, right? And it's going to make you understand JavaScript very fast as a what? As a beginner. So stay with me, right? So the first thing I need to understand right now is that JavaScript runs inside the browser. So be it your Chrome browser, your Safari, your Firefox and Microsoft Edge, like that, right? It all have what? A built-in what? JavaScript what? Engine. That's the reason why when you open up a browser, the browser can understand and run the JavaScript to make it what? Interactive. For an example, with this site that we're going to build, if I should just click on this stuff here, you can see it goes to 1. If I click again, it goes to 2. I click again, it goes to 3. The reason why it's working is because of what? We have added JavaScript to this word page. The developer has added JavaScript to this word page. If you go to site like Amazon, right here, you click on this cart right here. You should come here, you can just keep adding to cart, and the reason why it's actually adding to cart is basically because of what? They added JavaScript to it. That's why. Alright, so right now, what can you actually do with JavaScript? Or before we even jump to what you can actually do with JavaScript, you need to understand what JavaScript is. We already know it runs inside the browser, right? And JavaScript is a programming language for the web, while HTML gives the structure and CSS styles it, like this site right here is styled with CSS. And we now have JavaScript for what? Interactivity. You can think if I click here, for an example, you can see it switches. The reason why it's switching from one place to another place because of what? They added JavaScript to it. That's why. Alright. So JavaScript makes websites interactive and dynamic. Just the way we have websites like Amazon, we have websites like Gigi, we have websites like like Jumia here in Nigeria, like this, right? JavaScript is actually what? Everywhere. If JavaScript was not on this big site that we all use daily, it's not going to be working too what? Functional, right? So let's proceed. Alright, so JavaScript makes website interactive and dynamic, just the way we're going to build this nice looking stuff here. If I should just click on the dark mode here, you can see what happens. We're actually making this site what? Very what? Interactive. But it's made possible just because of what? We added JavaScript to it. Alright, so one thing again you need to know is that what can JavaScript actually do? So you can use JavaScript to update and change content, right? So that's like the DOM manipulation. We have respond to user actions. For an example, me clicking on this stuff here is working. Me clicking on this stuff here, it's working. These are actually user actions. And the reason why it's working is because of what? I click on something works. And the reason why that thing works is majorly because JavaScript was added to it. That's why. Alright, so create animation and effects. You can do that with JavaScript. Communicate with the what? With the servers. Just like we have Amazon right here. Every product you're seeing here, the JavaScript is actually getting it from a particular server. Don't worry, I'll make a new video talking about servers and breaking it down for you guys to actually understand. So if I should click on this get a random joke here, you can see something is loading here. It's actually getting an information that when it gets it, it showcases it to you guys. So you can see right here, right? Alright. So, and also build full apps like with frameworks like React, Vue, and Angular. You can actually, if you understand JavaScript, you can actually move to this kind of technologies. Like for example, I built this technology right here, and I use React to build it, and you can switch from one place to another, check out what's actually going on, and the rest like that. So now, we have something called DOM, which stands for Document Objects Module. JavaScript can talk to the DOM, which means it can find elements. We talk about elements, change them, or even create new ones. So this is just the theory, but what I want you to understand is that if you want to make your website very, very interactive or interactive, you want to add action to it, you need to add JavaScript to your projects or to your HTML projects. Anyone? All right, guys. So let's continue right now. So the first thing we're going to do right now is that I am actually going to create a new folder from scratch. So go straight to your desktop and just go and create a new folder. Call this folder anything you prefer to call it. So I'm going to call this folder Learn with Me JS. All right, good. So, and this folder here, I'm going to open this folder here in my popular IDE. That is what? VS Code, right? So make sure you have VS Code installed. If you don't have it installed, make sure you just go and say VS Code, download. So you can see, make sure you download for your own particular operating system. All right, so let's proceed. So right now I've opened up my folder right here, and I want to open this folder in my preferred IDE, that is VS Code. So the way to do that is that I'm going to make a right click around here. If you're using Windows 10, you click on Show More Options. If you're using Mac, it's very simple. You see Terminal, you open your terminal. I'll click on this Open a Terminal for my Windows. Now I'll just type in code space dots and I'll hit enter. Alright, so now this has already opened right now. You can see I've opened this folder in my preferred IDE. Right, so I'm actually ready to start coding, and I'll start seeing everything I'm actually doing. All right, guys, so let's continue. So the first thing we need to do right now is that we need to create an HTML file, right? So that's the structure and everything. So I'm going to come and say index. I mean, it could be anything. Could name it anything you want to. It doesn't mean to be index of HTML, but I'm also going to give it a very descriptive name. So I'm going to say index, or I can actually say home, or I can actually say TV, or whatever. But I'm just going to say index. Index is just the most used word. And I'm going to create a structure HTML template. So I'm going to say HTML like this. So right now, I'm going to open this stuff here in my preferred browser, right? So I'm going to open it in Chrome. I'm a file user. I use Chrome majority of the time. So open in Chrome. All right, so this is good. Let me clear all of this stuff I have here. Also, if you're in Nigeria, make sure you actually use Jumia. Jumia is actually very good. Okay, so that's, and also you can check out my promo sphere, talk about themes and all like that. But that's not the point of this video actually. All right, so now this is my website. You can see my website is actually blank, purely blank. Nothing is actually going there. But if you look at other websites, something is going on there. You look at this one here, something is going on. You look at this one here, something is going on. The reason why this one is blank is because we've not added HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But with the first thing you need to add is the HTML code, right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I've done the structure templates, and I want us to rebuild this site that I have right here. This site that I have right here. So let's rebuild it from scratch. So let's start. All right, so the first thing to do right now is that I've done the first thing, and the next thing is to just start writing elements. So all these things are elements. Everything you see on the web page, all these things, like this name here is an element. You go to Amazon, this stuff here is an element. This stuff is an element. Everything here is an element. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So I'll come and say JavaScript in action. Okay. Just come and say rocket. Yeah, say rockets like that. Good. JavaScript in action. And if I should just do a refresh, you can see I have JavaScript in action. This is where my JavaScript were. Let me copy this and paste it right here. All right, good. So I'll make it this. Like you can see, we have JavaScript in action, but it's ugly compared to this, right? The reason why this one is good is because of what we added CSS to it, right? So what I'll be doing now is that uh, for the point of this video is just JavaScript. So what I would do is that I will just, I don't want the video to be too long. I will just copy uh, the CSS code I've written, then I'll just build the JavaScript what part of it. So not to make the video actually too very, very, very long. So I'll just do that. Okay, so guys, make sure you stay remain. I'll copy my CSS style here. I'll just copy this. And I'll just come and paste just come and say style.css, paste it here. And I'll just come here and paste I have my demos done already. So demo 2, demo this. Okay, that's perfect. Then I'll just place that here. And I think okay, I'll take away this one here. And I'll wipe this one out. Good. And I'll just do this one here. All right, so let's go back to our web page, then we refresh. All right, good, guys. You can see nothing is actually working, right? But you can see this is just a structure. And you can see it is not even beautiful at all. And the reason why it's not looking too good right now is because of we've not added CSS to it. But the major thing of this video is to learn JavaScript in a very, very fast way, right? So let's just make it beautiful. Then we go straight to JavaScript. All right, so I have my CSS here. Like I said, CSS actually makes your website beautiful. Then what I'll do is that I'm going to come up and I'm going to say link this stuff here. And I'll say style.css. And if I should come back here right now and I make a refresh, it looks beautiful. It's not looking like, yeah, something's actually going on here. But if I click on this button right here, nothing is going on at all. Everything is just blank. Nothing is going on. So let's add this functionality to it. Just the way we have here, you can see it's clicking. Let's add that kind of functionality to it. All right, so let's begin. All right, so we already told you that if you want to start working with JavaScript, there are two ways you can work with it in your file, in your HTML file. It's either you have it as an inline, or you have it you have the file actually outside of your file here. But one of the best ways to do it is that you should have it outside here. So I'm going to name this app.js. So all of my JavaScript logic, meaning that all of my interactivity is actually going to be inside of this file, not here. Like I said, you can put it here too, but I'm going to put it here instead. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to link it. I'm going to say script source, this source right here, and I'm going to say app.js. So let me see if it actually works. So I'll say alert. I'll say hello. There. If I should come back here and I make a refresh, you can see I have hello there. So I've started adding interactivity to this thing right there. But not to the full way, the way we want it to be. So let's begin. All right, so I'll take this one out. So what we want to first do is that we want to click on this stuff here and we want this 0 to actually increase. That is what we want. That is all. So let's begin. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to kind of locate the element of that button. So I'll scroll up here. So you can see this button right here that says increase counter. This button here is an element. Remember, everything in HTML is elements. And every element has an identifier. So this ID here is an identifier to this particular element called increase counter. So what I'm going to do is that in JavaScript, I'm going to actually locate this button called count button because it is an identifier to this button called increase counter, if I say that English correctly. So let's begin. So I'm going to go straight to my JavaScript here, and I'm going to create something called a variable, right? So I have something called, to start creating a variable, you have to use either const or let, right? Use either const or let. You use const, if you use const, it means you can actually change the value. If you use let, it means you can change the value. I'll say const, and I'll say count btn is actually equals to. Now, this count btn here is just a variable. It could be anything. Do you get me? It could be anything, but it's just a variable, and I want this variable to hold a particular value, right? So right here, I'm going to be talking to JavaScript right now. I'm going to say document dot get element by an ID. So basically, I'll start talking about the DOM, right? The DOM. And with this stuff here, it actually means that I want to interact with what I want to pick an element identifier right here. And the identifier that I want to pick is this stuff that I have right here. All right, so I'll just come and say count btn like this. So if I've done this part now, I'm going to make this thing functional. I'm going to say const, I'm going to say count display is actually equals to document dot get element by ID, and I'm going to say count. So you see this thing called count is what I have right here. You can see I have this button. I want to make this button work. But to make this button work, I need to add JavaScript to it to make it work. And not just that, I need to make this thing increase, meaning that I need to make this 0 go up. So I'm coming to pick this identifier called count. Like I said, is an element. This span here is an element. But this element has an identifier called count. I mean, it could be anything, like anything, but I just name it count because count makes sense. So I'll come here. I have done that already. Then I'm going to create a value called count is actually equals to 0. So this is basically just like the initial value of things. Like, I mean, I can make it start from 1 or 10, but let's make it 0. So I'm going to say count btn. So this count btn actually it's good. I'm going to make it a function by saying add event listener. And I'm going to say click. I'll come here and I'll say this. So I'll just say count plus plus, whereby I'm actually increasing it. That's what I'm basically doing. So, and I'll come and say count display dot text content is actually equals to count. So let's give this a try and let's do a simple refresh. If I should click this thing here, you can see it moves up. It keeps moving up. Now we've added interactivity to this thing, right? But if I should comment it now and I make a refresh, it becomes useless. Why? Because the interactivity is not what's working anymore more. So let me explain. So we have a button called increase counter, and it has an identifier called count btn, which is actually here. This place right here. We picked it. We brought it into here, right? And it's actually a function what we have here. And we are saying if the users will click on it, do something. So that doing something, we need to write that logic inside of this place right here. Don't worry, I'm going to drop a video where you can actually learn more of DOM. It's Traversy Media video. I'm going to drop it in a link in the description below. So we've done this first part now, and let's move to the second part, which is what? Email validation. This one might look a little bit more difficult, but it's not difficult. JavaScript is not difficult at all. I'm going to make it simple as possible. So basically, what we want to do right here is that if you put in an email like this, and click here, is we're going to get, please enter a valid email, right? So you can see. So let's include this kind of logic in our, in this website right here. So remember, we need to add JavaScript to it, and let's start it. So before we start it, we need to identify some things on the HTML page, right? So we need to identify things like this input. You can see this input right here is an element, but it has an identifier called email inputs. You can see we have this button here called validate what btn. You can see these two things here are buttons. This is a button, this is a button, but they are different. It has different identifiers. So it means JavaScript can pick any of them and work with it. Are you guys with me? And I also have something called email message. Like there's nothing actually inside here. So I'm going to be picking these three things. I'll be picking this identifier called email inputs. I'll be picking this validate button, and I'll also be picking up this what email messages. So let's do that. All right, so let's start. So I'm going to come and create a variable. I'll say const, always use const by the way. And I'll say email input is actually equals to the document. So I'm actually working, or I'm talking to JavaScript right now. So I'll say get element by ID. So what I actually want to get, I want to get a certain element, and I'm picking this element right here. So whatever I do is going to work well. So I'll pick here, and I'll say const, and I'll say validate. btn is actually equals to document dot get by ID, and I'll come and pick this stuff here. You can see this button here, just the way we picked this count button earlier before. Guys, I'm moving too fast. Just let me know, please. So I'll say email message is actually equals to document dot get by ID. Then what am I picking to? I'm picking this guy up here too. All right, so that's interesting. Small error. All right, so I've picked these three elements here. I've picked them with JavaScript, right? So let's begin. So, and what I want to do right now is that if the user should enter an email like this, you should tell the user that, okay, this email is actually what very, very what valid. But if not, the JavaScript should actually yell at the user. That's the goal. How do we start working with it? We need to work with it by adding a JavaScript logic to this button right here. And this button will actually look at what is actually inside here and check if it is actually very okay. All right, so let's begin. So the button here is called validate what btn. So I'll say validate btn dot add an event. This add an event means that just when we had this click here, that we said, okay, when the user actually clicks on this, please do something. So I'm going to say click. You can see we have so many things here. So click. All right, so I'm going to have it a function, an arrow function. Say const is an email. This email is actually equals to the inputs, email input dot the value. All right, so basically I have a variable here called email, and it's equals to this input, email input of value. So I'm actually trying to grab what the user is actually inputting into this thing here. That's basically what I'm doing. All right, so if I've done this now, I'm going to do a if statement. Don't worry, I'm going to do an if statement. It's basically like a condition that says if this thing is true, do this. If it's not true, don't do this. And inside of the if statement, I'm going to be adding a regular expression to it. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to have this here. I'm going to have these brackets. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have this slash small letter s. I'm going to have this a. I'm going to have this plus some regular expression to check if the email is valid. I have this. I have this again. I have this and this one again. Don't worry, guys. You're gonna get this thing. It's actually very easy to understand. Slash dot. I'm having this again. Slash s. Capital. Doing this part now. Plus the dollar sign. Slash this. All right. So dots. Tests. The email. This might look so confusing, guys, but it's not confusing. Basically, I want to know if the user actually imputed a real email. That's basically what I'm doing. So I'm going to say this right here, and I'm going to say email message dot text content is actually equals to, say mark. this. I'll say okay, and I'm going to say valid email. Thank you. Then down here, I'm going to say email message dot style, so I can actually style it. Dot color actually equals to green. All right, so I'm going to say an else. So if this one did not work, this one should work regardless. All right, good. So email this dot text this one. I'll say, please, this is not a real email. Check again. Check again. Like that. I'm going to say the email message here dot style dot color is red. All right, so let's now test this right now. So if I come here to make a refresh, and I just input this here and I click here, I'm getting, please, this is not a real email, check again. But if I now come and say Mayowa, my name is Mayowa by the way, say email.this at gmail.com, and I click here, you see, we get this. The reason why this is actually working is because of what we added JavaScript to it. That is why it is actually working perfectly. All right, so the next thing to do right now is now basically that we now need to make this stuff here work, whereby we want it to turn dark and up, turn dark mode and everything like that. So let's make that work. You know how it works now. We have to do what? Pick this stuff that I have right here. Pick this thing that I have right here. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to say const. I'm going to say dark btn is actually equals to document.getElement by ID. And what we're actually grabbing right here is basically this part here. Oh, sorry. I'll click that part. Then I'm going to say dark btn.add event listener. Or click. I want to make it whereby if the user clicks it, something should happen. And I'm going to say document.body.class list.toggle. So basically, I want something called toggle. So I'll say dark mode. All right, so this stuff here, if I should scroll up to my CSS here, there's something called dark mode. So I'm actually interfering from my JavaScript file here. From my JavaScript file here, I'm interfering to my HTML file, and from there, I'm going straight to my CSS file to pick up this guy. So if I should refresh now, and I click here, boom, it works. See, it works. So let's do this last one right here. So this last one here is that anytime we click on this thing here, something should occur. We should get different kind of messages, right? So let's make that happen. How do we make it happen? JavaScript. So let's scroll up now. So right now we have this stuff here. You can see we have this random, is a button, and this button has an identifier. You can see it has this, and it also has this one here. So I'm going to be working with these two here. So let's start. So I'm going to say const. I'm going to say joke btn is actually equals to document.getElement by ID. And what am I actually grabbing? I'm grabbing this guy right here, the button. So if I click on the button, something should actually occur. And I'm going to say const joke. That could be the joke message. So this.getElement by ID, and I'm going to be calling this. And I'm going to come here to pick up this guy right here called joke. It's an identifier for this element right here. Remember that, guys. So come here and I'll place it right here. Good. So let's make it happen. So anytime the user clicks on joke button, add event listener should occur, and I'll say click. So right here, I'm going to say, I'm going to create a variable called what? Joke. I think I need to change. Let me change this into joke text. This actually makes more sense. I'll say joke text dot text content is actually equals to loading. I'll say, hey, we are loading. We are loading. That makes more sense. And I'm going to do something very simple here, or more advanced, called try and catch. So basically, I want to work with a remote server. I want to go to another place and pick up some certain information there. So I'll say response. I'll say await. I need to add a sync to this part here. Don't worry, guys. I'm dropping some videos of privacy where you're actually kind of like explain some of these things. So I'll say official dot joke API dot app short.com/random_joke. Alright, so I'll say count to the data. So I'm actually grabbing the data and I'll say and I'll wait to the response.json. I'm grabbing it. I'm going to say joke text content is actually equals to, I'll do template literals. So I'll say data dot setup. And I'm having, that's from the information, by the way. So the data dot punchline. So punchline, and I'll catch, just in case anything happens, I'll catch my error. So catch. So something might happen, right? Like network issues. So I'll say, oh my god, error. Joke content dot text content actually equals to oops, I can't fetch it out. Sorry. So let's see if this thing actually works here. It's going to work, by the way. So let's refresh here. And anytime we click on this part here, something should occur. See, you see, it's occurring. I click again. I click again. The reason why this is actually working is because of what we added JavaScript to it. So basically, I'm trying to tell you that JavaScript is used to add interactivity to your website. That's the way we have this website. You can shift from talk, you switch to my own page, you can search for things, you can start selling, you click here, this is a wait list, you click on this stuff here, and everything like that. So with this stuff here, I hope you've been able to understand how JavaScript actually works. Don't worry, even though you don't understand how to code in JavaScript very, very effectively, but with this part here, I've been able to tell you that JavaScript is actually used to add interactivity to your web page. If you like this video, please leave a subscribe, like it, and share to your friends. And thank you very much. See you in the next video.